Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
You're probably going to see that being required for not just H1N1, but for COVID.
Why your employer can require you to get a vaccine in Louisiana.
There's not a better laboratory in the world.
How LSU is helping the Army prepare for climate change.
It's a little less optimistic, and it's going to require us to make more cuts.
The grim revenue forecast for the state.
We're unable to stop ourselves. We're going to celebrate Mardi Gras no matter what.
Artists use their skills for a Mardi Gras to remember.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kara St. Cyr.
And I'm Andre Morrow. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of SWI. But first,
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The swearing in of Joe Biden highlighted his inauguration Wednesday as the nation's 46th president.
The ceremonies were scaled down because of COVID and over concerns of more violence. The FBI had warned of potential armed protests in Washington and capitals across the country. There were no reports of problems.
And now here's a look at some other news making headlines around Louisiana. After recent violence at the U.S. Capitol, Lieutenant General Russell Honore was entrusted with the job of keeping the Capitol safe during the inauguration of President Biden. He led the review of what went wrong in the January 6th attack on the Capitol and said your First Amendment rights don't give you the right to carry a long gun to a demonstration. D.C. was under heavy security, and in a series of tweets, Honore thanked all of those who helped make the inauguration safe. Republican Congressman Steve Scalise invited Donna Brazile, former chair of the Democratic National Committee, to the inauguration as his guest. Despite political differences, both agreed it was a good show of unity. Scalise said, "It's important we all focus on trying to bring the country back together." The Army Corps of Engineers is getting $12.5 million to help build a hurricane protection system. It's designed to protect 150,000 people in Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes. The Corps could pay for $2.1 billion of the $3 billion total. BP money will be a big chunk of what state and local governments will spend. The coronavirus pandemic canceled last year's famed New Orleans Jazz Fest and is forcing a delay this year. It usually begins the last weekend in April, but producers now plan for it to take place October 8th through the 17th. The event draws tens of thousands of people to the vast infield of the fairgrounds horse racing track. Complications from COVID-19 have claimed the life of the father of Congressman Garrett Graves. A statement from Graves says the death caught the family by surprise. He said his father was one of those awesome American dream stories that inspired their entire family. Louisiana is taking nominations for a state poet laureate. John Warner Smith's 2-year term ends in August. The position requires traveling the state for 2 years, encouraging people to explore and engage in poetry. Nominations are accepted through the 24th of February at the State Endowment for the Humanities. A New York designer who is from Baton Rouge designed part of the outfit worn by Vice President Kamala Harris at Wednesday's inauguration. Christopher John Rogers, a graduate of Baton Rouge Magnet High School, designed the purple coat worn by Harris. He thanked her on Instagram for wearing his design.
At the COVID briefing from Governor John Bel Edwards and Dr. Joseph Cantor this morning, news of a new COVID fighting tool, plus the latest numbers. More than 1,900 new coronavirus cases and 41 more deaths reported. Today, as you look at the total numbers so far.
It is very apparent both here in Louisiana and nationally that we may remain at a very critical point in our COVID response. Nationally, you can see the number of deaths that are accumulating every day, the number of people in the hospitals, cases that are developing, percent positivity, all extremely high.
The governor says there are signs our numbers are plateauing. In response to the third surge today, the state launched a new tool. It's called COVID Defense.
It's available now on the App Store. It's both available for Android phones and for iPhones. This is a exposure notification program that in an anonymous and confidential way will push a notice to users if they come in close contact with somebody else who is participating in the program and identified as a positive case of COVID.
Can your business or school require you to take the vaccine when it becomes available? Or does that infringe on your personal rights? I spoke with an attorney at Miller, Hampton, and Hildorf to see if that's possible.
Undoubtedly, every time there's a push for everyone to do something, there will always be people that disagree. It's been an uphill battle trying to enforce mask wearing and social distancing. Now, it's trying to get everyone on board with the COVID-19 vaccine. But as we get closer to distributing it, questions are starting to swarm. Will I have to get the vaccine at some point? Can someone make me? And in Louisiana, that answer is yes, at least for now.
Schools likely can and will require routine immunizations. And so for that reason, and other signatures. And so for that reason, you're probably going to see that being required for not just H1N1, but for COVID.
Brandon Vesser is an attorney at Miller, Hampton, and Hilgendorf. He says it's actually not as uncommon as you think to require vaccination, especially when it comes to schools. Usually kids have to turn in their immunization records before they can attend or get accepted. The COVID vaccination would be the same thing, as Vesser sees it.
While it's required that you take the vaccine in schools, or it will be most likely, there's also exemptions.
You can find a way around this requirement. You can fill out a form that lists why you or your child don't want to get the vaccine. You have two options. You can either object to it on religious or philosophical grounds. Both arguments tend to overlap, and according to Vesser, it's generally pretty easy to use them.
When you're filling out that form, you decide on what philosophical grounds you don't want to take that vaccine, why you dissent from it, and it's supposed to be granted.
But it doesn't necessarily keep you safe from repercussions. You can still be asked to leave the school. For employment, it's a little trickier to object to the vaccine. In Louisiana, if they require it, you may not be able to opt out using religious or philosophical reasons. Instead, you could argue that the vaccine might complicate your health, and you must be able to prove it.
But for your employer, maybe if you had something like COPD, something that, a medical condition that might cause you an increased risk, if you receive the vaccine, or maybe if someone else didn't get it, and that probably follows under the Americans with Disability Act, a situation like that. I mean, practically, if you're working exclusively from home, you never interact with anybody, somehow you employed, and you'll never interact with your employees or your boss or whatever, then perhaps then too.
Louisiana Civil Code Article 2747 is a state law that basically says your employer has a right to terminate you over any reason they see fit. So you can still be let go from your job even if you use these arguments. Of course, at this point in time, the virus is so new that policy surrounding it hasn't been perfected yet. Vesser says ultimately it comes down to the individual and how the future unfolds.
We have a link to the ACLU website if you want more information about vaccines and your job. For information on schools, you can contact the school board.
The U.S. Army has turned to a trio of LSU experts to learn how the effects of climate change, floods, hurricanes, and sea level rise, for example, could impact its military operations in the future. It's a $9.3 million grant for 4 years of study. Scott Hagen, Clint Willson, and Robert Twilley are the three LSU experts who will work on various models to try to predict future conditions the Army could face. Hagen is director of the Center for Coastal Resiliency, Willson is director of the Center for River Studies, and Twilley heads up the Louisiana Sea Grant College.
We were asked to participate largely because of the tools that we built, because of the place where we work. It is the tools needed to help us understand coastal Louisiana. The Army is giving us a chance to expand those tools through their needs. But what's going to be great is that we can put those tools back in our toolbox and use those for Louisiana.
Right.
So this is that, kind of collaborations and the expertise that we're generating here in Louisiana that can impact the world. And it's great to be part of LSU that's having that impact.
And the Department of Defense over the last decade or so really has been, almost at the forefront in some ways of thinking about how climate change is going to impact the future, operations, et cetera. So, but what I think you see now is that, okay, they realize it's even more complex, right? And when you're looking at sea level rise, you're looking at changes in precipitation patterns, understanding that the ecosystem, the habitat of these either installations, training facilities, or potentially warfare, or regions where we're going to have to fight wars or battles are all interconnected, right? And so I think really bringing those together is something that I think we're excited about, and really is a culmination of a lot of work and foresight by, I think, both the Department of Defense as well as I think those of us at LSU have been working in this area.
Camp Lejeune is a really good example. They have a fixed amount of landscape in these military bases, and if that habitat changes, they lose that training capability. So they're very much concerned about the ecosystems on these terrains, and a lot of them will change based on how water flows. And these are all flat coastal terrains that they're very concerned about, where a lot of their military installations are located and where their future fighting conditions may occur as they think about warfare.
This project's focused around, military, training, military installations, the infrastructure, as well as, future operations. And a lot of the effectiveness or the ability to work in those environments relies upon an understanding of the soil conditions, an understanding of the habitat, an understanding of the vegetation. And that's where it's going to get, even more dynamic into the future as you think about, systems that may traditionally have been freshwater may transition to more saltwater or, brackish conditions.
Scott, what excites you the most about this?
Making a difference. This opportunity to contribute to something that is so important to the future of our nation and our world, and recognizing that this is a grand challenge that we as a human civilization face.
As somebody who spent 6.5 years on active duty in the Marine Corps and have friends who are still on active duty, it's a wonderful, opportunity in my academic career and hat, though, to be involved in a project that I know has so much significance.
One of the backbones that drew them to LSU is the high performance computational clusters that we have at LSU, and in particular, the Center for Computation and Technology, and our proven experience in utilizing those parallel computational platforms, knowing that we are able to develop models that eventually they'll be able to run on their tremendous resources. And part of that is a function of the state of Louisiana supporting high performance computations, supporting the infrastructure that we have. Part of that is a function of Louisiana Sea Grant College program supporting this idea of a need to develop a weather-ready state.
Working and being able to predict a dynamic landscape That's one of the real attributes of working at Wax Lake and working in the Atchafalaya region, because it is extremely dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've actually we can take school kids out, you know, and they can stand on landscape that was born the year they were born. You know, these are new lands that developed since 1974, and we can see how the ecosystems change as the land changes. And we can see how all that changes as salinity changes with sea level rise. We can see all that change as your sediment concentration and your river flow changes. So there's not a better laboratory in the world to be able to study those changes than right here in coastal Louisiana.
There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the income forecast expected for the state economy this next fiscal year. The Revenue Estimating Conference met this week. I talked with Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden. He's also an REC member.
The panel considered both of the proposals. I made the motion to adopt the division's economist forecast, and the economist on the panel, Steve Barnes, agreed, but the vote was 2-2. The president and the speaker did not want to accept that economist proposal, and so we did not have a unanimous decision. When that motion failed, the motion was made to accept the legislative recommendation, and we all agreed to that forecast, so that is now the forecast that's in place. And it's a little less optimistic, and it's going to require us to make more cuts in the budget that we're going to be proposing at the end of February, the governor's executive budget that'll be presented to the budget committee on February 26th. That's the next time the joint budget committee meets. We won't meet again until sometime during the upcoming session, probably in May.
Got it. Okay, so when we see that budget, what's that going to look like? And cuts, that's the big word right there.
Well, we're right in the middle of that process. I mean, the process began in November, and this entire week and for the next couple of weeks, I'm meeting with the state agencies and departments and going over their budget, listening to their concerns, hearing from them how cuts will be implemented and what will be affected. And so we don't have a bottom line answer yet, but we know we're going to have to make several hundred millions of dollars in cuts to the budget from where we are this year.
Now, you don't know yet exactly what sort of federal money may be coming in that could help?
We don't. The bill that was passed by Congress in the waning days of 2020 provided some direct dollar assistance to universities, to K-12 education, to healthcare all across the country. There'll be restrictions on how that money is spent, and we're not sure how, if at all, it will benefit us in our budget process. President Biden has indicated that he wants a second stimulus bill, and there's been a lot of discussion as to whether that will include state governments receiving any additional money. If that happens, it certainly will help us. If it's not included in another bill, then we'll have to live with what we have, with our state revenue picture being the way it is. And the pandemic has staggered all of us. I mean, it's changed life for everybody, and it certainly impacts the governmental budget. We were able to patch things together in the current fiscal year with the money that came from the CARES Act that Congress previously passed. That was one-time money that has to be replaced. And that's one of the reasons why we have a significant need for cuts in next year's proposed budget. And if more federal money comes, it too will be one-time money. And so we'll be in the same predicament a year from now, unless and until the economy recovers. Because as you mentioned, before the pandemic, we were rocking and rolling. We had a very optimistic forecast. We were going to have an excess in the budget year. We were going to be able to make investments in higher education that had not been made in a decade. And we were very upbeat and optimistic about finally being able to right the financial ship. And then the pandemic occurred, and we all know what followed. And government was impacted just like everybody else. It's just on a bigger dollar scale for what services government provides.
It seems like the vaccination, actually shots in the arm, has been slower and a little more difficult, or just different than some of the early expectations were. And I think the economy sort of depends on getting that done, right?
Well, it absolutely does. I think anybody will tell you, and all the economists are banking their decisions on the fact that at some point vaccinations will be available to everyone. We'll have herd immunity and we'll be past this. But until that happens, there's a huge level of uncertainty. And our economists told us that. They're not sure that their projections are going to be correct or not. It's always a crapshoot when you're trying to forecast the future, particularly when it relates to tax revenue. But it's particularly challenging right now. So we don't know exactly what the future holds. We do know that the quicker we can recover as a state and as a nation, and because obviously our recovery depends upon what happens nationally when people start traveling again, when we're able to see tourists come back to Louisiana, start spending money, the kind of things that really gin our economy. And we're not there yet. And so we do have to be cautious and reasonable in our approach. And I think that's the way we've been. And that's certainly the way our budget will look when it's presented next month. It's going to be a very austere budget with a lot of cuts that we hope won't have to be realized if the economy improves or if we get some additional federal relief.
Is there a number right now that you're looking at?
We've got a number. I'm not going to talk about specifics right now because we're still going through the process of trying to figure out where those cuts would be and also how much we may be able to do in the current fiscal year, because we will have an excess in this year. We're over our projections for the current year, but you have to remember those projections were dramatically lowered last year when the pandemic hit and we realized that the economy was going south. So we're on target this year. So we're going to have an excess in the current year budget, and we'll be working to try and see where we can plug in some of those monies to offset some expenditures that might otherwise be necessary in the next fiscal year.
We normally see big float decorations during a parade or during a Blaine Kern Studios tour, but what if you could get these on your house? Mardi Gras artists are making that happen for some lucky people in New Orleans. Take a look. It's hard to take a good look at a float design when your hands are up reaching for beads or a stuffed animal. But people passing by Mignon Faget on Magazine Street don't have that concern. Just look at the outside of the building. It's covered in designs you'd normally see riding down St. Charles Avenue.
We actually ended up commissioning a team to design our store as a house float and to help to support some of the artists who otherwise would be out of work.
Megan Orosvi works with the company. She says the theme of this store was all about rebirth, and the artist chose to show that in the butterflies and flowers sweeping over the walls.
Mardi Gras is not happening as we traditionally know it, and there won't be parades this year and float decorating.
It's a unique idea, much different than the normal carnival decor you'd see on a business or a home. But this year, there will definitely be more where this came from. And it all started with this woman on the left.
I'm Caroline Thomas. We're both Mardi Gras artists, and we are working along with Crew of Red Beans with our new Hire a Mardi Gras Artist project.
Thomas's industry was devastated by the pandemic. No parades means no floats. No floats means no income for artists like her. So she came up with an idea. What if she could get together a group of talent to recreate decorations you'd normally see on a float, but this time on a house or a store? It saved the Mardi Gras spirit and put food on the table for some artists. So she partnered with Devin DeWolf, the founder of Crew of Red Beans. It was an organization that had already been working to give back to the community. He was the perfect partner.
When the parades were canceled, the layoffs began. And my friend Caroline understood the realities of her industry and the sort of what was going to happen for the Mardi Gras artists. And that's really the effort that we've created, hire Mardi Gras artists to recreate their jobs. And instead of them building floats for a parade, they're building house floats for us, and it's turned into a beautiful endeavor.
Here's how it works. Through the Hire a Mardi Gras Artist website, the Crew of Red Beans racked in donations for people looking to save the artists and people looking to have a festive house.
These are 92 people that donated just yesterday.
Once the organization raises enough money for a project, which is roughly $10,000, they pick a person from raffle tickets and decorate their house. Each design is unique to the person and their homes.
The spirit of Carnival is so ingrained in the people of New Orleans that we're unable to stop ourselves. We're gonna celebrate Mardi Gras no matter what.
It means a lot to the people who will miss Carnival, but even more to the people like Rachel Elsonson, a Mardi Gras float designer who laid off all of her artists when the parades were canceled.
I did, unfortunately, 2 weeks before Christmas, have to lay everybody off. because the money stopped, the PPP ran out, and I had no way to pay them.
When the entire season is said and done, all of these decorations will be taken down and brought to a museum where they'll eventually be auctioned off. All the money will be pumped back into the community, one way or another. And to the people that worked on the Hire a Mardi Gras Artist project, that's what it was all about all along, bringing the community together, one float at a time.
So far, about 6 houses have been decorated. Mignon Faget was just the latest one. The Hire a Mardi Gras Artist project hopes to complete 40 houses before the season is over.
It's a great way to be in the Mardi Gras spirit, I think.
Definitely want to decorate my house.
COVID-19 has created a perfect storm for people who struggle with their weight. If living a healthier lifestyle is one of your New Year's resolutions, this month Louisiana Public Square is offering plenty of options.
January's episode explores which diets work the best, the role of exercise in weight loss, tips for people who live in food deserts, and the effectiveness of procedures like gastric bypass surgery. The encore presentation of Healthy New Year airs Wednesday at 7 p.m. on LPB. You can take a confidential survey about your lifestyle choices at lpb.org/publicsquare.
Longtime Baton Rouge news anchor Donna Britt passed away Thursday morning. She had battled with the crippling disease ALS the past 4 years. Donna was a fixture at WAFB-TV in Baton Rouge for 37 years. I co-anchored with her for 8 years. She was a great newswoman, had a tremendous voice, and gave of herself to people in general and to the many causes she supported. Her husband, Mark Ballard, says she passed away surrounded by family. We'll miss her. Donna Britt was 62 years old. And everyone, that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our LPB app.
You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For everyone here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Kara St. Cyr.
Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.